Good afternoon. You're watching One Vision Network.
Here are today's top stories.
Locally, the migration of rural workers is reshaping urban communities in Mindanao, while Cebu launches sustainable urban gardening program to fight food insecurity.
Nationally, the Philippines strengthens its demographic strategies with a new census initiative and a campaign to promote global citizenship takes off in public schools.
Internationally, the World Health Organization reports on rising efforts to combat global health disparities, and the UN calls for immediate actions on sustainable development amid a looming global food crisis.
Stay tuned for these stories and more, only here on One Vision Network, your window to the world of truth.
Let's start with the local news. In Mindanao, migration from rural to urban areas is reshaping communities. Friences Balbaguio has the story.
Thank you, Jane. Cagayan de Oro's noticeable surge of rural workers moving into urban areas has created a dynamic shift in the city's socio-economic landscape. This migration is bringing new opportunities such as growing labor force to support industries and services, but it also poses challenges for urban infrastructure.
The influx of people has threatened housing, transportation, and public services, overcrowded neighborhoods, and increased traffic congestion are some of the immediate effects being felt by residents.
This migration brings economic potential, but we need to ensure our urban planning is inclusive and sustainable. We're focusing on improving housing, public transport, and access to social services while working to support rural economies.
Meanwhile, rural areas are feeling the impact of a shrinking workforce. Experts warn that this trend could disrupt agricultural product and other vital industries if left unaddressed.
The local government is now exploring balanced policies to address these dual challenges. This includes initiatives to create more job opportunities in rural areas, to reduce migration pressure and investment in urban development to accommodate the growing population. This story highlights the complexities of migration and its effect on both rural and urban communities. Striking the right balance will be the key to sustainable growth for the region. Back to you in the studio, Jay.
Meanwhile, in Cebu, a new urban gardening program is addressing food insecurity. Tanquerido is on the background to tell us more.
Thank you, Anndra. In a bid to combat food security and promote sustainable living, the Cebu city government has launched a groundbreaking urban gardening initiative. This program provides thousands of households with starter kit containing seeds, organic fertilizer, and gardening tools. The goal is to encourage residents to grow their own vegetables and herbs, reducing resilience and store both produce and fostering a deep connection and sustainable practices.
Many residents have already embraced the program. Families are transforming small spaces like backyards, balconies, and even rooftop areas into productive gardens. Early participants report saving on grocery bills and enjoying the benefits of fresh, homegrown food.
I never thought I could grow my own vegetables right here at home. This program taught me that even small efforts can make a big difference for my family and the environment.
City officials are optimistic that this initiative will not only address food security concerns, but also contribute to a cleaner, greener Cebu. They are planning workshops and community events to further educate the public in sustainable gardener practices. This urban gardening initiative shows how local governments and communities can work together to create lasting solutions for food security and sustainability. Back to you in the studio, Anndra.
Before we continue, let's take a short break. Up next, how the issues impact your community and what you can do to make a difference. Stay tuned.
Stay ready before the typhoon strike. Check the weather updates, secure the home, and clear gutters. Prepare an emergency kit with foods, water, and essential. Be protective. Your safety matters. All screen tips. Prepare today. Stay safe tomorrow. During a typhoon safety priority, stay indoor and away from the windows, turn off electrical appliances, if flooding occurs, following update trusted sources, with advice evaluate immediately, stay calm, stay informed. After the typhoons, avoid floodwaters and down power lines. Inspect your home for damage presently. Share resources and check your neighbors. Together we can recover stronger. We build with care, staying resilient.
Welcome back. Let's dive deeper into how these global stories shape our future.
The National Front, the government launches a major demographic initiative. Ilyn Gomez joined us live from Manila.
Thank you, Anndra. The Philippines government has officially launched a comprehensive census initiative aimed at addressing the challenges posed by ongoing demographic shifts. This nationwide effort seeks to gather accurate data to improve resource allocation and develop targeted policies that cater to the needs of communities across the country.
The census will cover critical aspects such as population growth, migration patterns, housing condition, and employment statistics. This data will help government agencies plan for essential services like education, healthcare, infrastructure, and disaster response.
This initiative is crucial for understanding the real needs of our population. We are calling on every citizen to participate and provide accurate information so we can create policies that truly serve our people.
These census come at a pivotal time as the country navigates issues such as urban migration, aging population, and economic recovery. By involving everyone, the government hopes to gain a clearer picture of the country's demographic landscape and implement meaningful change. Officials emphasize that an accurate and inclusive census is key to building a stronger, more equitable nation. For citizens, this is an opportunity to have their voice and needs represented in the country's future. Back to you, Anndra.
Meanwhile, the Department of Education is promoting global citizenship in schools. Angelo Salas has the details.
Thank you, JR. Public schools nationwide are taking a bold step forward by integrating lessons on global citizenship into their curriculums. This initiative aims to prepare students to think beyond borders, embrace global responsibilities, and actively contribute to solving international challenges.
The program covers key topics such as sustainability, equality, cultural diversity, and international cooperation. Students are learning how their actions, no matter how small, can impact not just their local communities but also the global stage.
Teaching global citizenship empowers our students to see themselves as a part of a bigger world. They're not just future leaders of this country. They're contributors to the global community. This is about equipping them with the knowledge and values they need to thrive in an interconnected world.
This initiative aligns with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, ensuring that the next generation is educated on topics like climate action, social justice, and global peace. By incorporating these lessons, public schools are shaping students to become proactive, compassionate, and global-minded citizens. This program highlights the critical role education plays in building a more exclusive and sustainable future. Back to you, JR.
Moving to international news, the World Health Organization has released a report on global health disparities. Charmine Tablazon has more on these stories.
Thank you, Anndra. A new report from the World Health Organization highlights the growing gap in the healthcare access between developed and developing nations. A disparity has been particularly evident distribution of vaccine, where wealthier countries have secured majority of doses, leaving low-income countries struggling to access vital immunization.
The report underscored the urgent need for equitable vaccine distribution as well as increased funding for healthcare system in developing countries. WHO leaders emphasized that these inequities not only jeopardize public health but also threaten the global stability, as the spread of disease can easily cross borders and affect everyone. The report underscored the urgent need for equitable vaccine distribution as well as increased funding for healthcare system in developing countries. WHO leaders emphasized that these inequities not only jeopardize public health but also threaten the global stability, as the spread of disease can easily cross border and affect everyone.
It's essential that we address these disparities now without a fair distribution of resources. We risk prolonging the pandemic and exacerbating the already fragile healthcare system in many parts of the world.
The situation is a stark reminder that healthcare is a global issue, and addressing these inequities is critical not just for health, but for the broader goal of maintaining international peace and security. With this widening healthcare gap, the WHO is arguing countries to come together and prioritize equity to ensure a healthier and safer future for all. Back to you, Anndra.
Hey everyone, it's Catherine, and I'm here to tell you all you need to know about disaster preparedness, the things you need to prepare, what to do during a disaster, who do we call for help, and some quick facts on disasters occurring here in the Philippines. Without further ado, let's start. So what are the things we need to prepare beforehand? First and most important, water for drinking and sanitation. Food, at least 3 days supply of non-perishable food, and battery-powered radio, cell phone with chargers, and backup batteries for contact purposes. Flashlight, in case it gets dark. First aid kit, whistle, mask, wipes for personal sanitation, local maps, and finally, a plastic sheet and duct tape for shelter purposes. Next, what to do before, during, and after a disaster. Before a disaster, you should first create an emergency plan for your own family at home. Make sure that everything you need is easily accessible in case of sudden disasters. Also, you should be knowledgeable on what protective measures to take before, during, and after evacuation. This is for preparation for whatever type of evacuation that will be carried out in your specific area. Lastly, you should put into mind your local emergency contact numbers, or better to list them and place it where you can easily see them, in case a disaster strikes and your family needs immediate help. The earlier you call, the faster you'll be taken care of or rescued. Now, during a disaster, first thing you should always put into mind is to stay calm. Because if you are calm, you think more properly and you make more wise decisions that would reflect on your actions. Next thing you need to do is wait for further instructions and follow your area's protocols on how to evacuate. This is to ensure that everyone is safe and no one will go missing. Finally, after the disaster strikes, you should find a safe place to stay and check in with your local officials for their instructions. Second, before you return home, you should make sure it is safe, and only do so when your officials have instructed you to. If you encounter problems financially, reach out to your local service relief organizations for assistance. Most importantly, check in with your family members, ask them about how they feel, and comfort them when needed. This is important so that each member would know how to cope with their feelings after a disaster. Now that I have told you the things you need to do before, during, and after a disaster, here are the contact persons you need to list down in case of an emergency. Number 1, your immediate family. Number 2, your local barangay. Number 3, the fire department. Number 4, local police stations. Number 5, your local hospital. And number 6, your national emergency hotline. And in the Philippines, it is 911. Make sure you keep a list of these contact numbers in your home in case of an emergency. I will now be providing you with some quick facts related to disasters in the Philippines. First, the Philippines is situated within the Pacific Ring of Fire, a 40,000-kilometer-long U-shaped fault zone in the Pacific Ocean, making us vulnerable to earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. Second, aside from the COVID-19 pandemic, 2 major disasters have recently occurred in the country: Typhoon Ulysses and the Taal volcano eruption. This halted public life, business, and mobility, which greatly affected the Philippines' economy. Third and last fact, the local government units in the Philippines are the ones responsible for rehabilitating the society and rebuilding infrastructures from the aftermath of natural disasters that come into the country. According to a recent study, disaster risk mitigation expenses for rehabilitation and recovery in the Philippines were the largest government expenditure, totaling to approximately 16.2 billion pesos. That's all for this video. I hope you've acquired a thing or two on how to deal with disasters, especially here in our country. Just keep in mind that it's always better to prepare now than fail to do so once the worst has come. So stay safe, everyone!
And finally, the UN is urging nations to act on sustainable development as a global food ecosystem. Ariel R.Tan brings us the latest.
Thank you, Jay. At the United Nations Summit today, world leaders gathered to discuss the urgent need to address the growing issue of global food insecurity. Experts from across the globe emphasize the importance of sustainable agriculture practices as a key solution to combat hunger and ensure for food security for future generations.
Speakers highlight that climate change, conflict, and economic stability are exacerbating food shortage, particularly in developing countries. They stress that failure to implement sustainable farming techniques and straighten food system could lead to whisper famine, higher food prices, and further economic disruption.
We are at a crossroads. If we don't act now to create more resilience, sustainable food system, we will see a deepening global hunger crisis, which will destabilize economies and threaten peace.
The conversation at the summit underscores that the fight against food insecurity is not just a matter of humanitarian aid. It's a global challenge requiring long-term solution and cooperation from all nations. With urgent calls for sustainable practices, world leaders are hoping to turn the tide on these critical issues before it leads to even more severe consequences. Back to you in the studio, Jay.
That's a wrap for today's news.
On behalf of the entire team here, thank you so much.
Again, I'm Anndra Neyca.
And I'm J.R. Tampal.
This is One Vision Network, your window to the world of truth. Stay safe, everyone.